Hello. How are you, friends? This is your friendly neighborhood leftist, Sophie of sexwithsophie.com, here with another episode of our favorite call in show, Call a Liberal. This is your time and your space to chat with someone who maybe thinks a little differently from you, but who fervently believes that we're not that far apart, or we're not as far apart as you might seem to think. Uh, we had to skip yesterday because baby girl was really, really under the weather. But luckily it was maybe like a 24-hour thing because she is, as you can hear, back to just about 100%. We have to be really careful with her. She was actually born 4 months early, which is just over halfway done cooking. So, um, she just turned 1 year old, and so it's really tricky because we have to be careful with this season of cold and flus, and she just got over a bad flu, so a little scary yesterday, but here we are, doing pretty good, back in action. So yeah, again, this is your time and your space to call someone who, again, maybe thinks a little differently from you. But ultimately, again, I don't think we're going to be that far apart. For instance, I feel like DEI is still coming up quite a bit. It still seems to be something that sets us apart. Where again, we all have so much more in common than we do with the top 1%. um, and I've started to try to look at it more so that the people who are super upset that DEI was a thing are really more so thinking, hey, people should be able to get what they deserve. People should be able to get what they work hard for. People should be able to advance based on their qualifications and skills. And so I think the folks who don't understand that DEI is intended to do just that, of course they're going to hate on it because they're being told that it's something that lowers standards, that gives jobs and opportunities and admittances into schools and universities to people who are undeserving or less qualified. Whereas that thinking genuinely just comes from a place of racism, typically. So what I'm hoping to do with this conversation and with this space is again open it up for you to chat with someone who, again, you might feel is on the opposite side of things. I know I have some topics that I list that we can chit chat about that you might think a little differently on. But again, just like with DEI, where I'm looking at it like, wow, you're so concerned with people who should be able to have the opportunity to advance if they're qualified for it. Should be able to have the opportunity to go to a school that they've worked hard to get into. Yeah, we absolutely agree there. So, in that same vein, I'm sure there's other topics and things happening in the world and current events and hot button issues that, again, you might feel very strongly about. But I'm willing to bet that even if I share a difference of opinion, we can find not even a middle ground, but like a bridge to one another's thinking. And so I'd love it if you wanted to call in. You can text that number. Feel free to leave any kind of comments that you like. And I'm hoping this one goes to sleep real soon. She was asleep, I promise, like a second ago. And she's like, nope, not now. But again, this is day, but this is your time. This is your space to call a liberal, call someone who perhaps thinks, believes, loves, feels, I don't know, a little differently than you perhaps might. One of the things that comes up quite a bit as well, I've noticed in these conversations that, again, I've only been on TikTok for 1 week now, 1 week, and already so much has come to the surface about just this culture war that we're being thrust into that's just bullshit, that is imaginary. And so another thing that I wanted to maybe touch on between calls, if you again want to interrupt at any time, feel free. But the whole trans thing, I said a little while ago that I genuinely think that people who are anti-trans, when you're a man who is anti-trans, I genuinely think it's only because you are afraid of being tricked. You're scared that one day you're gonna fall in love with someone or just be attracted to someone and find out that they don't have the phenotypic sex traits that you would expect, and then that's going to make you feel some sort of way about yourself. So just that fear, that one single fear of this instance that you might encounter someone who makes you question your own sexuality. um that's where I think the entire trans debate and trans issue comes from. I think the women who are anti-trans are usually trad wife kind of crunchy ass bitches who just really want to take advantage of their proximity to white men or people who are transphobic, like Nancy Mace with Donald Trump and whomever else. So I don't think there's a genuine fear because as a woman, I've never once in my life, been in a bathroom or been in a dressing room and seen another woman's private parts. I've never once in my life. One time I went into a gym locker room and this woman was just letting it all out there, sitting there, old lady. Apparently that's very common with old men too. I don't know what that's about once you get a certain age that you just want to flaunt it in the locker rooms at a gym, but those are the only instances that I can think of where you're actually witnessing or seeing someone else's genitalia. So it's like, and even in those cases, there are stalls, there are bathrooms, there are other places these people could change. This is just them choosing to be in your face. So, all in all, it's not women who are afraid of, seeing somebody with a penis or whatever the case is. And also, it's not like anybody who's actually wanting to be a predator toward women is going to walk to the bathroom area and see the woman sign and be like, oh, guess I can't go in there. That's just ridiculous. So again, I think the entire trans phobia issue is because men are so afraid, men who are transphobic rather, are so afraid that one day they might actually like or be attracted to someone who is trans and then have to question their own sexuality. And that is so scary and abhorrent to them. But even that, when we talk about homophobia, that to me is just, it's literally just men who are gay or bi or questioning, who are so scared of admitting to themselves that they might like a little D&B, that they take it out on everybody else and take it out on homosexual people. And I think that's genuinely it. Because what other reason could you possibly give? What other reason could you possibly give to hate on a gay person or a trans person? What other reason is there? I genuinely would love to know. I'm seeing some comments come in. DEI is inherently racist. It assumes that test scores and qualifications need to be lowered for minorities. I feel like I just said this, but again, like that's you having a concern for people who are qualified and unfairly, being taken away from opportunities that they absolutely deserve or are entitled to. And that's exactly how I think people who are pro DEI feel. It's really unfair for people who are qualified and have studied and have the certifications and degrees and have the experience and the resume. It's unfair for those people to not have the opportunities to even interview for a position that they're absolutely qualified for, right? Right. I think we both think the same thing. So once you understand that DEI, affirmative action, all these programs are absolutely not lowering standards, they're absolutely not reducing qualifications, then hopefully again you can see that we're so much on the same page here. We're so on the same page. We all agree that people who are deserving should get what they deserve, and I think that's a beautiful thing. So thanks for lifting that up. Hopefully that clarification helps you. Um, Jason says, nope, not going to happen. I'm not sure what you're referring to. If you could clarify, or again, if you want to interrupt me at any time and call in, I stop everything I'm doing to focus on my guests. Sometimes that lets comments stack up, but again, if the best way to get my attention is to give me a call. You can also text that number if you're not wanting to get into the whole comment mix because it can get kind of a lot. We're very early in the show, just been on for a few minutes now. So if you're just joining me, again, I am Sophie, your friendly neighborhood leftist here with another episode of Call a Liberal. We were off yesterday because the baby was not feeling hot at all. So luckily she's feeling a lot better. So yeah, just to try to catch up on some more comments. See that there is no fear about that. I promise you're just making it up to make you feel better. So I'm guessing you're talking about the whole trans thing. There's no fear about men who might encounter a woman that they're attracted to or that they're getting involved with, and then uh, again, I think that they fear that that person is tricking them if they find out that they have different phenotypic sex traits than they were expecting. Why are you always jacking me? She's always like jacking me up. I don't have a single collar that is just straight at all. There's literally zero evidence of this, quite literally just making it up. There's zero evidence that men are afraid of being tricked by trans people. I think all this DEI anti-trans stuff is evidence in itself. And I will be right back, you guys. I'm sorry, I've been on mute for a bit on YouTube. Excuse you, honey. Ow. I feel like, do you really want to hurt me? Oh, you do? That's not very nice, sweetheart. Alrighty. Yeah. So again, I'm just killing time between calls, just chit-chatting about things that are close to my heart, like DEI and trans rights and Black History Month, all the things. But you are welcome to interrupt me at literally any time. You can call, you can text that number, and I will be able to stop whatever I'm doing to focus on you and you alone, my dear friend. Except for her. She always comes first, but you come second. You're a close second. Okay, you good? Thing is, with babies, it's late. It's so late. So she's normally quite sleepy, quite asleep. But I have all these lights on in here, so I'm sure that's not helping. Yeah. There you go. But yeah, her dad came down and was like, here. I was like, do you want to get her back? He's sleeping, so I guess not. Hi. But feel free to interrupt at any time. I am literally just shooting the shit, bullshitting, all the shits. Just until you want to pick up the phone and call a liberal. This is, again, your time and your space. I am literally just here preserving this space for you. One of the things that I heard recently when it came to I don't know if this is applicable to DEI or just the current state of the world, but my friend sent me this post that said, would you tell like your friend or a person whose character you're questioning, would you tell them where Anne Frank was hiding? And I was like, oh shit. And I gotta say, I don't think I have a single friend today who I wouldn't not only tell where Anne Frank was hiding, but who wouldn't be like hiding a few Jewish people themselves, or in the Underground Railroad or whatever the case may be. And that's of all races, of all nationalities, of all beliefs. So I've only surrounded myself with, I think, the best of people. So you maybe want to ask yourself that, like, are you someone who could be trusted with that information? Are you someone who would have been on the right side of history back in the 1930s? Or are we just going to be complicit? Even if you didn't point out to the Nazis where Anne Frank was, are you still spreading misinformation and propaganda? Are you believing it? Are you checking other sources? Are you engaging with people who look and think differently from you, like me? Like, are you giving me a call right now to chat about our supposed differences? I think those are all valid questions. So one of the things that, again, I heard from her with that was just, can you do some self-reflection in that regard? Like, would you be someone who could be trusted with that information or not? So, yeah, I thought that was a really good question. I am very much in love with this game. It's called Balatro, but as much as I enjoy playing it, I will check comments between rounds. And also, if you want to interrupt me at any time, you're more than welcome to call and stop my game. I stop what I'm doing. I want to focus on my guests at all times. I've had some amazing calls. I've only been on TikTok streaming for about a week now. In fact, for exactly 1 week now. But I have been on your traditional streaming platforms like, Facebook, Instagram. Okay, come on. What else? YouTube, stuff like that, Twitch. Okay. It's very slow. Thank you. Yeah, but I've also been on like some really alt tech, alt right streaming platforms like Kick and X. But also I'm on Rumble, Locals, Gab, probably some places you've never even heard of if you're not, a white supremacist. um, I was also on True Social. That is until Donald Trump kicked me off. One of his first presidential acts was to, I guess, cull his social media platform, True Social, of anybody who could, I guess he perceived as infiltrating his echo chamber, which should tell you a lot. It should tell you something. Like that he's so afraid of me, little old me. Well, I'm not that little, but still, he's so afraid of somebody who's out here not sowing division, not trying to debate people, but actually trying to find bridges between our way of thinking. And I don't think he likes that very much. And so that's one of those things where, it was very telling for me. It was very telling for me. Like, okay. So you're going to kick me off of True Social. Why is that? But not the people out here, deliberately sharing and spreading false information about things. Not the people out here being actually dangerous or hateful. So it said a lot. But even though I was kicked off of True Social by Donald Trump, I can only assume I've still been streaming to, again, Locals and Gab and Rumble. And what I might do one day, because I've had accounts on there for a while now, I might actually do a stream where we just look at some of the stuff that's posted there. It is, whew. And like sometimes I'll post something and the response that it receives is just so hateful and sad. And it's like, is this all you got? Like, is this your whole life? This is your whole personality? It's just being this? Like MAGA and white supremacists and stuff, like they're just boring, sad people at the end of the day is all I can really gather from my time in the trenches. So you don't have to do it. But yeah, again, if you're a patriot, if you're patriotic, if you're a nationalistic person, feel free to interrupt at any time and give me a call, because I am very curious to know why. Very, very curious to understand how you can be patriotic in these times. Or if you're like, make America great again. Like, when was it that you felt America was great? I think we can be honest about that too. Like, I think you think America was great when, white people, essentially white men, were in control, when, pre-DEI, pre-civil rights, pre-CRT, whatever. I think that's when a lot of MAGA think America was great. So again, if you're MAGA, when was America great? And what era is it that you're trying to get back to so hard, would love to know. So, and not in a vituperative, antagonistic kind of way. Like, I genuinely would love to chat with you about your ways of thinking, how you came to those ways of thinking. Um, if it's because you have hate in your heart, or if it's because you are genuinely afraid of something or someone. Like, are you scared of minorities? Are you scared of women? I just don't understand. So again, this is me just trying to get it, trying to trying to understand what's happening. Uh, but I'm not a good debater. I'm not here to try to debate anybody. I just want to have some nice calm discussions. If you are following me and you see my latest post, or if you want to look at my latest post, you'll see kind of what things have been going like for in my first week on TikTok Live. Uh, I can't even play some of that without using like beeps and things, but ultimately, yeah, I'm happy to be here, happy to open and hold this space for you. This is Call a Liberal, where I'm hoping, again, you can feel comfortable in chatting with someone who maybe thinks a little differently than you might, who perhaps believes a little differently than you, who perhaps loves a little differently than you. This is your time and your space. So I'm just shooting shit, just kind of BSing a little bit. I'll check comments in between rounds, but I'm just trying to see if I can get this gold stake in Balatro. If you've played this game, it is just top notch. I love it. Basically, you're just trying to figure out how you can amass more points that multiply with your chips so that you can win at least 8 rounds to win, or at least 8 rounds to win your run. Excuse me, you're trying to win at least 8 antes, which can consist of 1 to 3 rounds to win your run. A lot of new terminology for me. Also, it uses like poker runs or poker hands, like flush, 2 pair, straight flush, and I had to learn all that because I didn't know. I've never played poker really, so I didn't know what those were. So once you kind of understand that, this game really, really takes off. It's super, super fun. So what I'm looking for is a jack of any sort. And again, I am literally just, I got 2. I'm just killing time in hopes that you feel comfortable enough to give someone like me a buzz, and we can chat about literally anything you like. I have some topics that are there. Very happy to continue the conversation on DEI. I've had some calls that have completely deviated from any of that. And so, again, this is your time and your space. This is up to you. Hi from Rumble. I see some of my Rumble viewers are checking in. Hello. Again, Rumble is a very alt-right platform, very MAGA heavy. So you guys feel free to call in too. I get a lot of lurkers, which is fine, like people who walk or watch. But if you want to comment at any time, you can. And finally, baby girl's gone. This is good. So, I didn't even stream yesterday because she got so sick. And as I was saying earlier, she was born 4 months premature. So I have to be really careful when she gets the slightest cold. But she was breathing really horribly. It was really scary. So I'm glad she's back to being herself. It was just a 24-hour thing, I guess. But yeah, not very fun. If you have kids and you're MAGA, I'd love to understand how you can mix those two. If you have kids and you voted for Trump, I, again, would absolutely love to understand why and how. Especially if you have little girls. Oh my goodness. Really looking forward to understanding your way of thinking on that, because it's hard for me to fathom it. Let's see. And again, I'm just up here BS, and you are welcome to call in at literally any time and interrupt me. I am here for you. This is your time and your space to call a liberal. I am your host, Sophie of sexwithsophie.com. I am someone who runs a website, sexwithsophie.com, where I teach people how to talk to each other about sex and sexuality. I have a video advice column. I have a couple of different podcasts that I run. The whole point is to teach people how to find bridges between ways of thinking with dialogue, whether it be you're trying to teach your child about being safe, about how to not get abducted, what their private parts are, et cetera, et cetera. Whether you're trying to talk to your partner about what you like and have them have a better understanding of how to please you and how you can please them. Whether it's talking to yourself and having better self-talk, especially if you feel a lot of like guilt around loving yourself and coming out or masturbation or just any of these things. I don't know if I could say that, but I also have this space because I want to try to build a space for people who want to talk to each other about topics that tend to live in the world of sex and sexuality, but have just overflowed into politics given how much it's demonized. So homosexuality or just any LGBTQIA plus issue, 2S LGBTQIA plus issue, particularly trans rights and trans issues, trans women in sports, trans men, bathroom stuff, all that's like in my wheelhouse. Also things like abortion, smabortion. I'm never going to get this language censorship thing right. Sorry. But yeah, like smabortion, pregnancy, all that kind of comes up with my work. And so that's where this space has come from. I just sort of migrated into teaching people how to talk to each other across the political divide about not only topics of sex and sexuality, race, nationality, but also just politics in general. Because again, it all goes hand in hand. A vote for Trump was a vote for a federal abortion ban. A vote for Trump was a vote for mass deportation, which has so many implications for families. And so a vote for Trump was a vote for taking away the rights of just 1% of the population for some reason in order to dog whistle their followers into doing literally anything they wanted because they were so stuck behind the blinders of transphobia. So, yeah, that's what I do and that's who I am. So, hopefully you'll take me up on it and interrupt me at any time and give me a buzz if you are interested in chatting with someone who maybe thinks a little differently than you. So I just don't know about this card. It kind of sucks. But nothing's going to help me. I think I just need to start over. I'm not going to be a coward. Let's try this. It's going to be like 1, 2. Okay, +2. And I got 4. And again, feel free to interrupt at any time. I'm literally just holding this space for you if and until you feel like you want to give me a buzz and we can chat about any of the topics that you have listed, that I have listed above, or that are on your heart, or that are in the news, or that you're worried about, or that you're happy about. This is your time and your space, my friends. Again, I'm just shooting the shit, bullshitting a bit until you're comfortable calling in. I haven't played, but I usually do this on my other streams. But again, this is I'm wrapping up my first week on TikTok live, and so I haven't really, honestly, like, it's been pretty. So this is kind of cool that I have a little bit of a break. I can play my little game because with 2 kids and working full time on my thing, I never really get time to just play video games, which I really like. I was playing Death Stranding, but that is very resource heavy, like holy shit. So Balatro is kind of nice and chill, but it's fun. It's really fun. I'm just trying to make a decision on what I want to do. Uh, Maybe I can get a straight. Baby girl's finally asleep. Yes. So, um, that's really nice because she was just wide awake for a bit. And I am between rounds, so let me make sure I'm checking on my TikTok friends. I keep getting these flagging for personal information, but I genuinely don't know what I'm saying. Um, let's see. Yeah, abortion is amazing. It's genuinely awesome. Uh no, it's not rage bait. If you would like to chat about that, let me know. If America was never great, why continue to stay? I didn't. DEI is like affirmative action was useless. All it does is keep qualified people away from jobs. So, James, I think we agree on this fundamental level that people who are qualified for jobs should not be removed from those opportunities because of their skin color. So we're on the same page, darling. It's just that I think you have a misunderstanding of what DEI and even affirmative action are or were. Um, Affirmative action in particular was never meant or intended to um, lower standards or have lesser qualified people put into positions or hired or put into schools or whatever. Same with DEI initiatives around hiring and admissions and things like that. So I've said it before. I'll say it again. Knowing that now, do you still continue to uh, hate on minorities for just trying to have the same opportunities as the qualified professionals or potential students that they are? Or do you want to double down on your racism or xenophobia or whatever it is that you're feeling when it comes to DEI? Oh my goodness, we have an amazing person who has joined us. The wireless woman, folks. Um, if you're not following her, you need to follow her right now. I'm all about finding togetherness and we can bridge gaps between our ways of thinking. And if that were my thing, then that'd be my slogan. Let's bridge gaps between our differences. Her slogan, I don't know if you're ready for this. It is decenter men. It's the most powerful series of videos and commentary that you will ever see. So absolutely, absolutely, check her out. And I genuinely am trying to figure out how to do because I'm streaming from a Mac, so I cannot see this on my phone at all, and so it's really tricky because I'm only commenting from like this weird live center, so I can't like add people to my call. So we're gonna have to talk at some point so me and the wireless woman can do some kind of a collab because she's incredible. Um, but I'm literally just up here chit chatting about DEI. Some folks like Mr. Feigert here, they feel like DEI is keeping qualified people away from jobs. And again, I think we're not far off in our thinking. Like the whole point is decenter men. If you do it first, you don't have to do it later. Exactly. And honest to God, we're talking about decenter men as her thing, but that is the undercurrent of all this, even with the DEI thing. You know, we're talking about James, we're talking about how it's about giving people who are qualified the opportunities to, have the interview, to get their foot in the door, to have their application looked at. That's literally all DEI is doing. But if we actually take that decenter men narrative and run that through DEI even, Isn't that what that's all about too? Because DEI, I think people tend to think, oh, it's about minorities. It's about, black people and brown people. It's about women. It's about people with disabilities. It's about people who have lower incomes. It's about uh, LGBTQIA plus people. And a lot of those people, a lot of those groups, disabled people, gay people, they're white. so so the real issue is then if you're so focused on what's best for just the white man, isn't it beautiful that if you have a decenter men opinion or an undercurrent in with your thinking, that's so pro DEI. That's something that would absolutely be a pro DEI stance, and I love that. Yeah, type shit. So I don't know if you disagree, feel free to give me a buzz. I am absolutely here for you to um, disagree with me, to chat with me. What I'm not here to do, because I'm not good at it, is to debate you or to sit here and be like, oh yeah. Honestly, I genuinely don't know how to get you on like a TikTok, like to join my TikTok thing. But if you want to give that number a call, um, then you do go live that way. Um, I also have Discord, but that's like a whole thing. That's usually easier if you're coming from like Kick or somewhere. Um, but yeah, if you want to give me a buzz, I'm right here for you. I guess when it comes to oh, let's see. Once you get some more live hours, you can get multi. I think that's what it is. I just don't have all the options in front of me because I'm actually seeing that people are giving me coins and things, but I don't get any of that right now. So, thank you for all the gifts and coins and stuff, but I genuinely don't see it. So keep them coming though, because I'm sure it helps my metrics and numbers and helps them to see that this is a place that you feel is safe and that you're happy to come to share your grievances or your beliefs or your thoughts. Because that's really all this is I'm trying to make sure that people feel comfortable and trying to find bridges between our ways of thinking as opposed to trying to find our logical fallacies. How is a traumatizing bodily act such as abortion considered awesome? I will tell you. Um, and I don't think I can use the word, I need to say like schmabortion or something because it's starting to, every time I start talking about stuff, I get little dings. So, let's see. I'm black, poor, and disabled, and I'm not a victim. I don't want DEI. Good for you. You don't have to participate in it if you don't want it. Nobody's forcing you, darling. Especially now that it's gone. But yeah, when it comes to some abortion, it's awesome for me in particular because I would not have this one without some abortion. When I uh, did my first round of IVF, it was successful and I got pregnant, but unfortunately lost that baby at 7 weeks. Um, and so I had what's called an incomplete miscarriage and I had to have a small abortion in order to remove my deceased embryo or fetus. And so because I live in the UK, the very next day I was able to get a dilation and curettage, which is a abortion, and literally 30 days later I was pregnant from my second IVF attempt with this one. So I would not have my little baby here without some abortion. It's amazing. Well, that's not really an abortion like most people get just for the convenience of it. But see, that's where we have a huge disconnect, Jake, because that is a small abortion. It absolutely is a small abortion. So people who think that oh, small abortion is literally only this elective process that people go to in order to simply, you know, use this as birth control or because they made a bad decision or whatever. That's it's not though. In fact, you want to know what the largest percentage of abortions are or small abortions are? The largest percentage of small abortions are from people who had failed contraception. It's something like 35 to 50%. And so, this isn't people who are making bad decisions. This is people who tried to be safe. But again, things don't work all the time. So the fact that you are not understanding, I believe, what the definition of smoabortion is, or what smoabortion actually entails, you know, are you the best person to be not only voting on that issue, but making a decision for a woman who's put in that position, where she might need a small abortion and her medical professional feels like she needs a small abortion, but because you just don't understand that situations where somebody who has to remove a deceased fetus, or they have a fetus that's non-viable, or what, so many other reasons. The woman might have preeclampsia, or literally so many other issues that could happen. And that, how is that for you to decide when you don't even understand that some abortion includes my situation? So again, that's all I'm saying. Um, let's see. How can you get an abortion from a failed contraception? Condoms don't always work. IUDs fail. Vasectomies fail. Like there's literally so many times where, in fact, they'll tell you like condoms are only 95% effective or something to that degree. So yeah, like it happens all the time because again, research shows that 35 to 50% in some cases, some papers show, of some abortions are needed due to failed contraception. Um, But if the contraception failed, that means you aren't pregnant, correct? Contraception is things like condoms, birth control pills, IUDs, things that you do to prevent a pregnancy. So if your contraception failed, then that means that you did get pregnant when you, even though you were taking something to stop it. So again, it just negates that thinking of, oh, everybody's out here being unsafe. Everybody's using this as a form of contraception, or using some abortion as a form of contraception, when in reality, no, it's not the case at all. So I hope, did that clear it up for you? Like, does it help you to better understand what I'm saying? Or do you feel a little bit better about women making their own decisions about it? Because you can't know every situation. I'm sure there are women out here who are like, yeah, girl. In fact, yo, wireless woman, you and me this weekend, let's go get an abortion, girl. Let's go. Like I'm sure there's women doing that. I honestly no, there's no woman doing that. But hypothetically, if that's the far end of the spectrum, there's so many other situations that happen where again, you don't know what's going on with these people. Um, they could be underage. They could be, let's go, girl. They could be underage. They could be in any other kind of situation. So why should the baby lose their life because the protection breaks? That's just evil. Again, it's not a baby, darling. It's not a baby. In fact, 90, I want to say, what is the figure? It's at least 90% of some abortions are done before the 6 week period, I want to say. I'm going to look that up because I'm going to be so wrong if I don't get your information right. So there is a figure. Percent of some abortions, um, early term. Okay, yeah. So 93.5% are done before 13 weeks. Solidly in the first trimester, well before uh, any kind of sentience is formed. That's still embryos. That's not even a fetus yet. That's embryo stage. In fact, maybe we can even show you some. Is it who did the actual pregnancy material photos? Was it NY? Was it New York Times? Yeah. So okay, this is what you're talking about. This is So this is tissue from 5 weeks of pregnancy to 9 weeks. This is 4 weeks. This is 5 weeks. And what they've done, and I've seen these before, so I can maybe explain a little bit, all this like snotty bits here. This is all of the pregnancy material. So like what would have formed the placenta, the actual what do you call it? The lining of the uterus. That's all this at 4 weeks. So the little embryo was, in fact, I think at this point it's just a zygote. The zygote is in here somewhere. But these pictures where you just see this little bit, so at 5 weeks, this is the zygote. This is the embryo. This is 6 weeks. And let me make sure you can see. Nope. So let me go up a little bit. So this is 6 weeks. This is 7 weeks. Yeah. This is, again, the decidua and the gestational sac. But in the middle, that's the actual baby. Everything around it is just like pregnancy material, tissue to support the pregnancy in particular. And this is 8 weeks, again, the gestational sac. So most women are at this point getting their abortions, usually with medication. I think 90% of all abortions are medical abortions anyway, or medicine abortions anyway. This is 9 weeks. And this is the full progression. So, how is this how is this more important than a woman's life? How is that more important than a woman's life? I genuinely don't understand. So, explain to me like how you feel like that is more valuable. I genuinely don't get it. Life begins at conception. My mom's a biologist. Okay, sure, I'll give you that. Life begins at conception, but sentience is really the measurement that I and most scientists and OBGYNs and maternal fetal specialists tend to go by. Like, at what point in the pregnancy could this fetus potentially feel feelings? Could they have the capacity for pain? Is their brain developed enough that putting them through this procedure is going to cause them undue stress or harm or pain? And they all agree that it's usually around 23, 24 weeks. And so again, we saw that 93.5% of some abortions occur well before that. And so the few that happen after that point, after like the 13-week mark, you gotta understand they are critical. They're probably very necessary, or probably situations like mine where the baby passed away and you have to have a abortion to remove the your dead baby, because you could go septic and die if you don't have that taken out. So yeah, I agree with you. Life begins at conception, but so does the life of a tapeworm that might be in your body. So does the life of all the bacteria on your skin that gets wiped away. So, I mean, life doesn't mean shit. I'm way more concerned with sentience. Yeah, I'm done here. Life begins at conception, and you deleting them for a busted rubber is evil. So, okay. Is it more evil or less evil to, again, let's use your word, to delete them while they have no feeling, no understanding, no self-awareness, no brain, no capacity for any of this? Is it worse to end this bundle of cells at that point? Or is it worse to potentially have a non-viable fetus grow to the point where it can feel pain, where it if it doesn't have a brain but it has a brain stem, it can feel pain. And you force it to be born only to experience pain for a few days or hours and then pass away. Like, that seems worse to me. Or let's take the scenario where me and the wireless woman are going out every weekend and getting pregnant and having abortions just for the fun of it. Like, is it more evil to just let that woman who's so irresponsible and so out of control have a small abortion, or to let this irresponsible, crazy person raise a baby? Like, I gotta say, I think your level of evil and mine are absolutely different. Um, let's see, what kind of embryo is that? These are actual photos of actual embryos. Um, why are you angry talking to Gabe? Yeah, that's a good question. Why are you angry? Like, I'm gonna guess that it's because you hold a high esteem for life. And I think that's beautiful. Like, nobody's mad at you for feeling concern for, little babies and stuff, but if it helps you feel better, like, these are not little babies. Again, you see, they're just little clumps of cells. They have no feeling. They have no brains yet. Nothing's happening. It's the most, well, I guess it's the least evil time to to terminate that life. It is a life before it has sentience. Somebody says people in comas just need to pull the plug then. No, not if they're sentient. Now, if they're like Terry Schiavo, who are brain dead, but they're alive. There was a whole situation back in like the 90s when I was growing up, where there's this woman who was in a vegetative state, who was completely brain dead, but she, could open her eyes and she could blink a couple times, I think, but she had no brain activity, to the point where after a while they were fighting her being taken off of life support for so long, her poor parents. Like, it's not a situation anybody's wanting to be in, I promise you. But yeah, like, her brain started to dissolve and like decompose and was coming out of her nose. Like, so yeah, at that point, you're not sentient. That's not sentience. That's like saying, oh, if I go to sleep, you're going to kill me. No, it's like sentience and consciousness are totally different things. Sentience is literally just the capacity, having the brain neurobiology in place to be able to experience anything, particularly pain is what most people are concerned with. So again, I hope that makes you feel a little bit better. Like, that's not at all what people are doing. So you are Republican. I don't know how you'd come to that conclusion. Not at all. I'm not even a Democrat. I vote unaffiliated, but I voted for Kamala Harris this time around. I'm very saddened that other people didn't, or the majority of folks didn't agree. Yeah, thanks, Ethan. Yeah, it's not the same thing when it comes to sentience versus consciousness versus being in a coma. Um, Imagine talking like this with your baby in your hand. We all are a bundle of cells. Yeah, absolutely. Somebody said that the other day, like, oh, so would you, if your mom aborted you, go right ahead. If she were going to make that decision, I just hope she would have made it way early in the process so that I didn't get to a point where I could have potentially felt it or felt pain from it. So if I were aborted, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't care. Um, yeah. And again, like I said, I love abortion because I wouldn't have this baby without abortion. Because again, I did my first round of IVF, and it was successful, but I was only able to carry that baby to 7 weeks. And I had what's called an incomplete miscarriage. So I was unable to pass the fetus, the baby, whatever. And I had to have a abortion. I had to have a dilation and curettage, a DNC, in order to remove that pregnancy tissue so that I could then turn around and have my second round of IVF to have this baby. So I that was a wanted child. I paid a lot of money, spent a lot of time, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get pregnant the first time. That was after 10 years of trying with my wonderful, beautiful, amazing husband. So, to think that I'm flippant about this, I surely hope that you understand how serious it was for me. So, small abortion is a beautiful thing that lets women make decisions about their own lives, that lets women be safe and have the capacity or keep the capacity for having children. And another thing that you have to keep in mind is that all these bans, all these restrictions on small abortion don't stop small abortion. All we're going to do, and all that we have done, is gone back in time to when women have to try and fall downstairs or use knitting needles or sharpened hangers, wire hangers, and all these things that were so dangerous in the past. We're just reverting back to unsafe small abortions that not only have the potential to give women infections or kill them, schmill them. I don't know if we could say things like that. But also, if they do survive it, it's very unlikely that they're going to be able to hold a baby again. Because if you puncture your uterus, if you puncture your cervix, it's unsafe to try and get pregnant again after that. So there's a lot of stuff out there that's, misinformation that's meant to scare you. And like Gabe, all these folks out here who are very anti small abortion, you got, like, why are you against it? Because I'd love to unpack that a little with you, if you don't mind, explaining your reasonings for the specificity of what you don't like about them, especially if it's not something that you personally have to deal with. If you're a man, very, very interested. Let's see. Misinformation. We just lived 4 years of hell. Explain. Please explain. I very much enjoyed the last 4 years after, Biden helped us pick up the pieces from COVID that Trump left us with, and it was insane. Let's see. I'm missing some comments. I'm sorry. Let's see. Oh, thanks. Ethan, I like you, man. I feel like you got my back. Thanks for that. He said you're not even listening to what she's saying. Oh my God. Well, see, that's where I disagree. If you're out getting pregnant all the time, birth control is better. Agreed. And I don't know if you were here when we found those stats, but something like 35 to 50% of people who seek abortion, small abortions, do so because of failed contraception. So most of the time, like, people are using birth control. They are on birth control pills or did try condoms or whatever the case may be. So no, it's not that at all. But even so, again, if you have women who are so irresponsible, and men who are so irresponsible that they're not wrapping it up, they're not doing anything, and they want to rely on small abortion as their only source of birth control, is that irresponsible? Clearly not sane, thinking straight person who you want to be a mom, who you want to force to be a mother? Like, how does that make any sense? Um, Somebody said adoption is always an option. I'm adopted. I'm mad because I care about life and you don't. I love adoption. My 5-year-old's adopted. What's so funny is you hear that all the time. Oh, why don't you just adopt? And the people who are like very pro-life, none of them actually have adopted kids. Whereas, I know what it's like because I've adopted my 5-year-old since she was a baby from DSS. I don't really throw it out there all the time because, I mean, she's my daughter. I don't really see it any other way. But, I mean, she knows she's adopted. I'm very familiar with adoption trauma that can occur. So she's well aware of, who she is and where she came from. And so, don't talk to me about adoption, bro, because, like, I'm very pro adoption. but I don't see that as a solution for women. And the thing is, though, a lot of women will see that as a solution for themselves. Like, here's the thing: just because some abortion is an option, it doesn't mean that every woman will choose it. But if you take it away from every woman, then all you're doing is making like all these traumatic situations for the mom and for potentially these children. So, think about this. There's a woman in Texas who was pregnant with a little girl named Rose, and they wanted her badly, but they found out that she had a condition where she didn't form a brain. This is not uncommon, by the way. And so this is, even though this was in Texas, this is before the bans. So she could have gotten an abortion, but she chose not to. She chose to carry her baby to term, even though she knew it was going to die, because she wanted to be able to allow her baby to give its organs to other babies who might be in need. And how beautiful is that? So, shouldn't that tell you that even in the worst case scenarios where women know that their baby's not going to make it, they still don't always choose some abortion? So you cannot take that away from people because it's not something that everybody's going to do. So same with the woman who's just not ready or isn't financially capable or already has too many kids. In fact, most people who seek some abortions are moms already. Something like 67%, like 2/3 of women who seek some abortions already have children. So that's not the case. So yeah, so again, it's not something that everybody does. So women who, again, are not ready, aren't financially ready, already have too many kids, whatever the case is, they might still choose to carry their babies because they don't want to get a small abortion. They're happy to put the baby up for adoption, maybe because of their religion, or they just don't want to they might feel like they're, killing a life or a being. Who knows? But again, taking the decision away from people is not the way to go. It's genuinely not. I mean, we could talk too. We could talk about some abortion all day. I got stats and figures and data and information. Oh my goodness. Men just follow, no education, men without role models. Girl, Rose, you were on point. And that's why, like, the whole decenter men principle that the wireless woman, whom is on this call, you should definitely follow, is so important because, like, when it comes to some abortion, do you not understand that forcing women to have babies is literally keeping them in some cases, of course not all, keeping them in situations where they're with a man who's abusive. They're with a man who's probably going to abuse those kids. Some abortion lets people get out of situations that are scarier than anything you could ever imagine. A lot of times, especially narcissistic men and narcissistic people, they don't show their ass. They don't show their ass until you're pregnant. They don't show their ass until you're married or have a house together or have something that's going to tie them to you, especially a baby. So decenter men in all ways and shapes of the word, because there's just so many things that happen that we just can't know. That's okay. Here you go. Go sleep, boo. There you go. So if the woman gets pregnant and keeps the baby, should the dad not have to pay support? So if the woman gets pregnant and keeps the baby, should the dad not have to pay support? I don't know the figures and stats on that, but I'm willing to bet. I'm willing to bet there's a lot of cases where if the man did not want the child, yeah, he should and probably will be legally obligated to pay support, but will probably balk doing it. There's so many men who don't pay child support, I'm sure, for that very reason, because they didn't want the baby. So again, without some abortion, you're putting so many more kids in that situation. And it's not good to be raised by a parent or parents who don't want you. That's the most traumatic shit in the world. Like, oh my God. Um so another thing that I like to, since we're kind of on the topic of some abortion, Gabe, I wanted you to share why you feel so strongly about it, because I'm willing to bet that it's because you're religious. And if that's the case, could you confirm that for me, or let me know if that's where you're getting your, I guess, ideology around some abortion? Is that from religion? Okay. Oh, I see you. You gotta go to sleep, girl. Let's see. And the reason I ask, oh, bless you, is because honestly, most religions, in fact, the only one that's anti-abortion is Christianity, and it's not Christian, it's not anti-abortion because, so the man has zero say. If he wants to keep the kid, you get rid of it, and if you keep it, he can't walk. I'm guessing you're gonna finish the sentence. But yeah, while you're writing that out, like again, the only religion that's anti-abortion is Christianity. And it's not anti-abortion because of anything in the Bible. The only place that abortion is mentioned in the Bible is as a how-to guide if you suspect your wife cheated on you. That's it. So the fact that people and leaders in the Christian faith are who got you to be so up in arms about something that God doesn't even care about, like, it ought to tell you, like, maybe they're using this to control me. Maybe they're using this to get me to vote or think or act on other issues that they're putting in front of me, as opposed to what the reality is or what my own book says. Let's see. So the man has zero say. If he wants to keep the kid, you get rid of it. And if you keep it, he can't walk away. You get all the control. He gets no say. So here's the thing. You always throw it out to women. Why didn't the woman just close her legs? Why didn't the man just not have sex with that woman if he didn't have any foresight as to what having children with her could mean? And again, a lot of times, women who seek some abortions, I don't know the stats on this, but I'm sure it's a lot, where women seek some abortions because they don't want to be with or have a connection to the man that, or the person who got them pregnant. And you just don't know what those reasons are. It could be that it's somebody they're related to. It could be that they were raped. It could be that they, again, found out something about this person after the fact. You just don't know. So the fact that you cannot be in every woman's diary, you can't be in everybody's mind, you can't be in everybody's relationship, you cannot make decisions for them when it comes to not only their lives, but this potential new being's life. It's insane. Also, religion has no reason to my views. There are atheist pro-lifers. Yeah, and there's actually like OBGYN medical professional pro-lifers. So no, that's, you don't, it doesn't mean that you're so as to assume a pro-lifer is religious is ignorant. Not at all. If you think about it, most pro-lifers are religious. That, because, and I'll tell you why I know this, because the pro-life movement stemmed from the religious right, in particular, making it a big issue, making it a big deal. Look up a gentleman named Paul Weyrich, Weyrich. He's a co-founder of the Heritage Foundation. In the 70s, years after Roe versus Wade passed. So this was, Roe versus Wade passed in like 1973. I think when I would say 76, 77, something like that, there was a court case against a religious school. Maybe it was Brigham Young. I might have that wrong, but it was a religious university that got sued for not integrating once like some civil rights acts were passed and they were supposed to integrate. They lost their federal monies and like their federal tax exemption, and their what do you call it? Not a stipend. What do you call it when like the government pays for a university? I can't think of it, but they lost that money. And so that pissed off Paul Weyrish so bad that he went on this huge campaign to try to say, oh man, look at the government trying to infringe on our religious rights and they're forcing us to integrate. And that didn't take hold the way that he'd hoped. It didn't allow him to like cause his parishioners and people on in the Christian congregations to be as upset as he hoped. So he looked around and saw that, oh, hey, there's this thing called abortion. Maybe we can use that to be able to control our congregations and give them something to be fired up and mad about. Yeah. And control our Republican friends and people who that we yeah, that we have hooks into in the White House and in the Republican Party. And that's exactly what they did. So it wasn't until like 1978. So this is like 5 years after Roe v. Wade was passed that any religious organization became heavily anti-abortion, anti-smobortion, that any did. But yeah, but that's when you start seeing people like Jerry, an endowment. Thank you. Yeah, so they lost their endowment. But yeah, so you see like Jerry Falwell and all these mega church pastors. Again, not till 5 years later, starting to really get up in arms about some abortion. And look at what it's allowed them to do. Look at what it's allowed them to do. Look at who it allowed them to get into office. Look at the types of judges that they've been allowed to stack the Supreme Court with. You know, look at the rights that they've been able to take away and the control over women in particular and people who can get pregnant that they've been able to exert because of this one decision. Sorry, my baby's loud. I thought you were sleepy. You want to go to sleep? So yeah, when it comes to some abortion, again, I genuinely hope, Gabe in particular, that, you know, do a little more homework on it. Because it means a lot more than what you think. It's not this limited definition of just women who, you know, couldn't keep their legs closed, which is the most misogynistic shit I've ever heard. But it's not just that. And also, the only reason you're mad is because the political Christo-fascist fucking right wants to keep their hooks in you, which they're doing a great job of. So you don't have to be religious to fall prey to, again, the misogyny of it all, to the fascism of it all. So yeah, that's my thoughts on some abortion. And it's why I think it's awesome. It's just an amazing thing that gives people the options to have children when they want to grow their families or not, if and when they want to manage their own financial situation, their careers, everything. So like abortion is amazing. Absolutely amazing. And again, it's such a harmless thing. Because the only reason you're mad about it is, like I said, because you were made to be mad. But before that, Catholics. I was just watching Lawrence O'Donnell, and he was talking about how his mom, who was a devout Catholic, got a DNC in the late 60s because she needed one. Because it's just healthcare. That's the same abortion that I got. So I absolutely think, you know, again, you should just take a beat. Take a beat and do a little more homework. understand where your anger is coming from, where your ire is coming from. I know. Because at the end of the day, like the way I'm hearing you, the way like I'm hearing you is like you can say, I'm pro life, I'm pro life, I'm pro life. But again, it's not a baby. It's not a baby. Um, so to say you're pro life or to even say like I'm gaslight, do you know the definition of gaslighting? Because saying killing a baby is not a big deal is not what I said, and also that's not the definition of gaslighting. Um, so again, you got to do a little more homework. You're only mad because somebody benefits from that, okay? And honestly, like I'm giving you much more credence than the people who want to control you with this ideology ever will. I believe that you can and will go read things like the only moral abortion is my abortion, that you will go look at Jessica Valenti, abortion every day, and sign up for her newsletter. And really, if you're so staunch against this thing and you're so strong, you feel so strongly about it, go learn more about it, go get more involved in it, go understand the people making decisions around it, go make a list of books that you need to read. Again, Jessica Valenti, abortion, our bodies, and something that's a long ass title, but you can find it on Libby for free. Like there's absolutely so much information that can help you to understand again where your anger is coming from and if and why you even need to feel this anger. Because if you think legitimately that it's about killing babies, then you're wrong. It's not babies. It's not babies. And again, you're absolutely conflating, I guess, terminology and the propaganda you're hearing for what? For what reason? So, I respect you more than they do. I think you will and can go do this homework and be a better person about it. Because at the end of the day, I think people who are anti-abortion are honestly just anti-women. I think you don't want women to feel pleasure or be sexual beings, or you're not okay with them uh, having sex in the first place. Like the fact that women have this ability and, a result of it could be pregnancy. Like that's not the goal. People say, oh, you only have sex because you want to procreate. No, women have sex for pleasure too, just like men do. And that's the primary reason for it. There's very few people who are in the right stage in their life, who are absolutely at the right time and place for their life to be having sex to have a baby. Like that's such a small portion of a woman's sexual life. Yeah. So he said, I love all women in my life, just not the ones who aren't in your life. And 99% are pro life. You are so condescending. Yeah. Women who are pro life can be wrong too. The primary reason for SMEX is procreation. Again, that's where you're just wrong, sweetheart. Like the primary reason for sex for anyone is pleasure. In fact, think about it. Why is sex so pleasurable? Why does it feel so good? Because the the negative side effect that can happen of pregnancy is so horrible and so abysmal and so hard on a woman's body that she has to have some kind of biological benefit to even do it in the first place. Oh, you're tooting. So cute. So, I mean, I want kids. I've wanted kids my whole life. I've always wanted to be a mom. Like I said, me and my husband tried for over a decade to get pregnant naturally and with all kinds of medical assistance, IUIs, time trigger shots, all the things. All the things, sir. And even I know, like, and had read enough to know, like, that pregnancy was going to be so hard on my body. it might leave me with chronic ailments and illnesses that I would potentially never get over, pains, complications from the pregnancy and delivery itself. Women who have people, excuse me, who have epidurals, for instance, have ongoing chronic back pain for the rest of their fucking life. Some women get changed mentally forever. Some for just a short time, but it can be like it's literally called postpartum psychosis. Like there's pregnancy is not fun. It's not the point. So sex has to be this pleasurable thing in order for us to even get tricked into having babies. But also, I think, we do have this, some of us have this maternal drive and want to have kids at some point, when we're ready. But no, the primary reason for SMEX is pleasure, period. And that's what men don't like. That's what you don't like. That's what you don't like, is that women can and often do just want to have sex for no other reason than they want to have sex. And so that's where, again, Gabe, I respect you, sir. I believe in you. I think that you can have a little more introspection. Talk to even the women in your life who have had children and ask them about their experiences with it. Have they had long-term complications from it? What was their delivery like? Were they able to follow the birth plan that they created? Like, I don't like, do you even know the first thing about what it's like to be pregnant? Or you have to have these conversations. And there is the gaslighting. You do not respect me and you are assuming I'm against women. Did I literally say anything to that effect? Yeah. And just so you know, gaslighting is denying someone's experience to the point that you drive them crazy. It's not misinterpreting something. It's not misrepresenting something. It's not lying. It's not feeling like you disagree. Gaslighting is a whole separate thing, darling. So my mom's a biologist. I know all about this, but you're not. You're clearly not a biologist because you think it's still killing babies. And that's just not the case. Again, they're not even out of embryo territory until like week 14, 15. So you just gotta do more education on yourself. You can't live by osmosis through your mom's knowledge. Okay. And again, talk to your mom. What was your birth like? You got to have this kind of conversation with her. Hi, Lioness. You hear that all the time. Like, oh, well, my dad's this and I know someone who, that's great. But, you got to be better. You got to be best, Gabe. Be best, okay? And go do some homework, sweetheart. Have conversations. Read some books, especially since this is clearly something that's so close to your heart, okay? Like, I do respect you. I respect you enough to break this down with you. I would like to hope that you respect me enough that you would take a second and listen to what I'm saying, or don't listen to me, but corroborate what I'm saying with actual studies that I'm quoting from, or research that I'm sharing with you that you can look up for yourself, or the books I mentioned, or the people that I mentioned. You can absolutely do these things and be best. To quote our dear leader's wife, Melania, I guess. Hi, Lioness. I love your name. Lioness Queen. I am so happy to see so many folks come in tonight, and I'm loving that we had conversations that weren't necessarily in one direction, because that's what I'm here for. That's what this is. If you're just joining, this is called A Liberal. I am your host, Sophie of sexwithsophie.com. I just wanted to create this space for people to, typically people will actually call the number on the screen. But I'm here to also open the space and comments and things to chit chat about whatever's on your mind that you feel is in opposition to some of the things I have listed up here, or some of the things that most progressive, left, liberal leaning people believe. Ooh, hey, baby. So yeah, this is that time, and this is that space for you. Thank you, Lioness. Yeah, and I know people out here watch like Javon Bradley and uh Destiny and all these people who like debate folks, and they call in and they're like, your logical fallacy is this. That's not me. That's not what this is. Um, just like Gabe, like I have such a high regard and high respect for everybody who chooses to come and engage with me on this platform or otherwise. So it's really all about building bridges, finding connection, understanding that our differences aren't so different, and that we probably have so much more in common with each other than we do with Elon Musk or Donald Trump or any of the 1%. So I love that today I heard somebody say that trans people are like 1% of the population, and that's not the 1% that we need to be concerned with. And I couldn't agree more. So that's what this is. I am I am actually hitting like the 2 o'clock in the morning spot for me. I live in the UK because America is a hellish dumpster fire of a fucking country. And I'm glad that I was able to escape, but I have so much survivor's guilt. And I'm sorry I've left you behind. So I still want to do what I can to try to make it better. So again, if we can keep these conversations and dialogues going, I'm here for it. So like Gabe, especially you, like I hope you'll follow me. I hope we can continue talking about these things. I hope you'll go offline and do some research on your own. Um, but ultimately, this is your time and your space. But we've been up here for a while now. So, Lioness, thank you so much for joining. Rachel, thank you for joining. But I think I'm going to go ahead and hang it up for the evening and put this baby to bed. Because it's again like 2 a.m. here in the beautiful United Kingdom. So with that, I will leave you as I always do with just how much I love you and how much I appreciate you. But yeah, what I really hope is that you love one another, but with permission. Alrighty, friends. Catch me tomorrow. We do this every night at about 5 p.m. Eastern ish, CP ish. But yeah, make sure you follow so that we can hopefully see you on the flippity flop. I'm a nerd. Okay. I love you guys. Bye.